Nerd alert! Learning is important, right?
Yes, exactly. What a bunch of nerds.
Nerd alert!
Right.
Marketing Architects.
Hello, and welcome to the Marketing Architects, a research-first podcast dedicated to answering your toughest marketing questions. I'm Elena Jasper. I run the marketing team here at Marketing Architects, and I'm joined by my co-host, Rob DeMars, the chief product architect of Misfits and Machines.
Hello, Elena.
Hello, we are back with your weekly Nerd Alert. Every week, I'll take a deep dive into academic marketing research and translate its complex ideas into simple, understandable language for Rob and, of course, for all of you. Are you ready to nerd out, Rob?
I am your student.
All right, let's get into it. As always, I'll link the research we cover in the episode notes. This week, I read Psychological Targeting as an Effective Approach to Digital Mass Persuasion. This is by Sandra Matz from Columbia, Michael Kosinski from Stanford, Gideon Nave from Wharton, and David Stillwell from Cambridge, and it was published in 2017. So we are going to cover one of our favorite topics, which is targeting, but we are talking about a very specific type of targeting. That is psychological targeting. The researchers define this as targeting based on predicted psychological characteristics of large groups of individuals. These could include traits like extroversion, openness, agreeableness, etc. So Rob, before we get into it, how effective do you think psychological targeting is?
I think it's more important than it's ever been, especially when you think about how important personalization is now in marketing and our ability to do personalization. It offers up the opportunity to increase conversion rates through better psychological targeting, really making those emotional attachments, and also just really helps distinguish you in the marketplace. So I love it. I think it's super fascinating.
I think so too. When I first heard about it, I was like, I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about psychological targeting, but I suppose it makes sense. And I think I like that type of targeting more than like just customizing to, like in B2B marketing, they'll customize to like your company or sometimes your name, like to a point where it's almost sort of creepy. I wonder if I saw like a psychologically targeted ad, could I even tell that that's what it was? It's more they're changing the ad formats, the type of ad according to those traits. It's not like, hey, you who lives in this city, look at this. It's more of like you wouldn't even really know.
No, you're trying to really unpack those deeper needs. I think from a creative standpoint, it's super interesting because you're really trying to open the book on that consumer and understand what makes them tick.
I wanted to talk about how they figured out what type of person you are. Like, are you more open? Are you extroverted, introverted? They figured this out through social media, which is probably not surprising since a lot of us have a lot on social media. So they describe this as your digital footprint, but they were looking at behavior or signals from actions that you took on your social media profile. So Rob, how well do you think you could be targeted based on your social media presence?
Oh, geez. In general or me personally?
Maybe you personally and then in general.
I don't participate a ton in the Facebook, if you will, or the TikTok. I do on LinkedIn, and I think I can absolutely be profiled based on where I'm going, what I'm clicking on. I think in general, this is a huge category. I love the saying, if you don't pay for the product, you are the product. And when you look at Facebook and TikTok and all the different social channels that are freely given, it's freely given because they are freely taking from all of your likes, dislikes, scrolls, and everything else so they can make sure that they're targeting you with their ads. So I think it's highly effective.
Well, this study might make you rethink specifically how you interact on social media. This is not necessarily posting, but we'll get into like exactly how they collected data on people. They had a theory when they started this study. They thought that we respond differently to advertisements depending on our unique psychological traits. So what might encourage Rob to click on an ad or buy from an ad might not work for me. And to test this, they conducted 3 experiments. They reached over 3.7 million individuals through tailored Facebook ads. So let's start with the first experiment, which is study 1. They focused on the personality traits of extroversion and openness to experience. And they chose to analyze Facebook likes. So if you're just a lurker on Facebook, they might not have a lot of data on you, but if you're not even posting, but going through and liking things, that's how they were trying to determine who you are. And these Facebook likes, they're more telling than you might think. You can learn a lot about user preferences and behavior from likes, and they make a scary accurate digital footprint of a person. And they're voluntarily shared and publicly visible, so this also made it easy for the researchers to source them. So what did they do? they crafted ads that either matched or clashed with the audience's analyzed traits. And they found that ads aligned with the user's personality traits significantly increased clicks and purchases. For example, ads appealing to extroverted traits led to up to 40% more clicks and 50% more purchased than mismatched or just generic ads. Now, moving on to study 2, they then targeted ads for a crossword puzzle app to users identified as high or low on openness. And they found similar results. If the ads matched your psychological characteristics, they are more effective and led to higher engagement and even app installs. And finally, study 3, they compared the psychological targeting approach to behavioral targeting as a control. As a reminder, behavioral targeting uses data from browsing habits like your search terms, websites you visit, which we generally aren't huge fans of on this podcast just because of the accuracy. But these researchers found that the psychologically tailored ads were once again more effective. All right, Rob, any surprises?
I'll confess I'm not. I just think social media is getting better and better at how it spies on us and is going to serve up advertising to the best that they can to make the algorithm work so they can sell more of it.
I agree. It's like not necessarily surprising. I was surprised that it worked better than behavioral targeting. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be because we've talked about like the challenges with behavioral targeting in the past and the inaccuracies, but that's pretty cool that you can look at someone and figure out through social media what is their personality, and then take that and create different types of ads that either matched or mismatched. Like I would think a part of this, you'd have to be pretty good at how do I create an ad for someone who's high in openness versus low in openness, or an introvert versus an extrovert. Like if I'm selling B2B software, how does my ad change? I feel like that could be a bit of a challenge for marketers, but I don't know. The fact that it works is pretty cool. And I also think that this is cool considering the challenges with behavioral targeting. This is an alternative to that type of targeting where you can still get very specific. You can personalize your ads without direct access to your behavior online. I guess your likes are still your behavior, but it's a bit more public than the websites you're hitting up.
Wouldn't you say there's a distinct crossover too, where you can get a little bit confused around the definition of social media versus behavioral? Like a lot of the same attributes can connect to both. Like my social media presence, is that not a reflection of my behavioral attributes as well?
I think what they meant in this study by behavioral targeting was tracking your browsing, like search terms, behaviors you're taking online. Although I guess, yeah, that is very similar. Like the likes on Facebook.
Yeah. Just seems very akin.
Well, I suppose you probably could, like they used Facebook likes to create these targeting profiles. I guess Facebook likes are maybe more publicly available. But I suppose like the way you get to a psychological profile of someone, it doesn't have to just be through Facebook likes. However you gather that data could get, it's just like how accurate is the profile going to be.
Is it only Facebook likes that they used in the study though? Or
in the
is
study,
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I mean, it just seems like they have far more data than just that.
You'd have access to a lot more. I think it's a question of like, what can you get access to? A lot of the times your profile is public if you don't have it restricted in a certain way. So you could see what somebody's liking, what they're engaging with. And I guess it would tell you a lot about a person.
We just look at all of the affiliations or who that person's following. And I mean, it seems like there's a lot of data there to build a profile.
I don't know. We're definitely not experts in this stuff. So if you want to do psychological targeting, we should ask, like, that'd be interesting to bring Dan on and talk to him because he's such an expert in targeting. And I know that we use a lot of different data to create a user profile of somebody. And I know that we use social listening. So unfortunately, Rob and I are just not the experts on something like this.
Definitely not.
But yeah, if people are interested, maybe we could bring Dan on and get into more detail about the nuts and bolts of, okay, I'm a marketer. Sounds cool. How am I actually going to do it? He'd be the smarter person to come in and tell us. Well, let's move on to the Rob GPT, because I think this one was fun too. Imagine each Facebook like as a breadcrumb that users drop while navigating the vast digital forest of the internet. The researchers collected these breadcrumbs to decipher paths that reveal psychological traits, like tracing footprints to understand the traveler's preferences and personality. Using this detailed map, they send tailored signals or ads that resonate uniquely with each traveler, guiding their actions as subtly as a compass directs a hiker based on their inclination to explore or follow the beaten path. It's beautiful, isn't it?
That was beautiful. As long as those breadcrumbs don't lead you to the lady's house where she sticks you in the oven, right?
Yeah, the Hansel and Gretel type of thing. Yeah, it sounded creepier as I read it, actually. Is it beautiful or is it scary? We don't know. That's it for this episode of The Marketing Architects. We'd like to thank Ayana Klaphocky for producing the show and Taylor De Los Reyes for editing. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, and if you find the show valuable, please leave us a rating and review. And if you'd like to hear more from us, subscribe to our weekly email newsletter. It's built for marketers seeking research-first analysis of the latest trends. You can go to marketingarchitects.com/newsletter to subscribe. Now go forth and build great marketing.
B2B.
Yeah.
What does the B and the B mean?
Marketing architects.